Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this week's options watch list. Before I get into the watch list video in the room, you can find the link in the description of the video and in my bio section of social media accounts. Also, please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Looking at the put to call ratio right now, it's at 0.63. It's really not that low. It's in the middle. I only look at the put to call ratio to see if there's any extreme levels or extreme sides, and they're right in the middle, so there's really nothing to even really be concerned about. Now looking at the economic calendar for the week, Monday, I get a Fed speaker at 2. Tuesday, consumer confidence at 10. Fed speakers in the afternoon, is a couple of them. Wednesday, really not much. New home sales at 10. Thursday, let's see, final GDP, unemployment claims, pending home sales, a little more of a busier day on Wednesday, Thursday I should say. Friday, definitely a busier day on Friday. Let's see, Friday at 8:30 we got core PCE. We got Chicago PMI at 9:45, and at 10 o'clock we get consumer sentiment and inflation expectations, and will end up probably being a big mover. Then at 11 o'clock we get a Fed monetary policy report. I have no idea if what that will do on the market, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. And we get a Fed speaker at noon. So Thursday and Fridays are going to be the busier days this week coming up. So I'm really not looking at too much. VIX has pretty much been the thing we've been looking at all week. It gets below 12, it pops. Gets a little below 12, it pops. Now it's popped up to the higher 13s, and it put in a red hammer on Friday and a green doji on the weekly. So basically, I'm kind of thinking we're going to have more or less of what we've been experiencing for the last couple weeks, is that if VIX gaps up in the morning, SPY has been running and VIX is getting sold off, and if VIX gaps down or opens flat, then SPY usually drops. So that's what we've been seeing the last few weeks, and it's been pretty much on based on how VIX has been. You can't go by if VIX gaps up and SPY gaps down, or if VIX gaps up and SPY gaps up, which we've seen plenty of times. Doesn't mean anything, but the telltale for the last few weeks has been the VIX. So like I said, if VIX gaps up in the morning pre-market, what it's been doing, I'm not saying go grab a bunch of calls or puts and just go based on that, because the market conditions change all the time. You get to see what's happening and adapt to it and keep doing it until it doesn't work, and then you just readjust and try something else. And from what I've been seeing for the last few weeks, VIX gaps up pre-market, and VIX sells off during the day, which means SPY pops. And if VIX opens flat or gaps down, or VIX opens flat, usually SPY would drop, and if VIX gaps down, SPY drops. So, but like I said, we'll take it day by day and see how it does, and we'll change based on the conditions. So VIX, it could definitely get pushed back down below 12, and then just do what it's been doing. There's so much going on. There's so much going on in the world. There's so much. The VIX should be like at 20 with all the craziness going on in the world right now, but for some reason the market doesn't care. VIX doesn't care. There's no fear, but yet you look at the fear and greed index, is fear at all-time high, which is really, really bizarre. But it's just crazy times. We're in an election year, and there's massive manipulation going on. So right now they're compressing the VIX and they're trying to keep SPY going. That's the whole reason why if you see VIX, if VIX gets to 12 or below 12 at end of day and it magically gaps up with SPY, it's because they're going to get SPY to run more. So that's what they've been doing, and I expect probably more of those shenanigans this week until something changes or some kind of news event happens. But there's so much going on in the world. I mean, we are one headline away from China invading Taiwan, or Russia doing something crazy, or North Korea doing something crazy, because Putin was hanging out with the North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un, or whatever his name is, and who knows what that's going to happen. And then there's nuclear subs in Cuba, and there's just so much craziness going on that we are one headline away from something very disastrous happening, or maybe not even something that we're even aware of. Something else ends up happening. So I don't know. We just gotta be careful and take it one day at a time. So I already showed the VIX and SPY. Like I said, SPY could just it did drop Friday. We had a red candle on Thursday, but I mean, we got it was at like 78 for the daily RSI, and the weekly. It's got a massive bearish divergence. You can see the high here, and making a higher high as RSI is making a lower high. That's a bearish divergence, but divergences can last for weeks and months. We've seen it with Roku and Baidu. I bring them up all the time because those are perfect examples. You just can't buy puts into a divergence and thinking that it has to drop because there's a divergence. It doesn't have to do anything. It can do whatever it wants. SPY could rage to 600 or 650 before it actually that divergence plays out. So you cannot go based on that. And the more divergences you see, the more indicators that you see the divergence. If you watch my recap, I really went ballistic on indicators and stuff like that. But I don't. The only reason I use indicators is for supply. It's not supply. I don't use that terminology. Resistance or support, and for divergences. That's it. I don't use it for anything else. You spot divergences on indicators, and the more indicators that show divergences, the better. You get it on RSI, you get it on MACD, you get it on the histogram. Histogram is one of my favorite ones for showing divergences, because it's making a lower high as it's making higher highs. And you see that right here, bearish divergence right here on the daily too. So when you have multiple indicators on larger time frames showing divergences, they end up being more significant. But the problem is you don't know when it's going to play out. It could play out this week, it could play out next week. It couldn't play out till September. Roku and Baidu had divergences that lasted like 6 months plus, because it seemed like I was talking about it every week for weeks and weeks and weeks. It just never happened, and then it finally happened. Then they had that monster drop. So that's why you don't go and front load a divergence thinking that it has to work. It doesn't have to do anything yet. It's just you just have to wait. So with that said, I would watch SPY over 545 for push to 550. Gets over 550 again, it's probably going to jump to 560 or 570. I mean, why not more all-time highs? I mean, we keep pushing all-time highs, ignoring all the bad news and ignoring all the things going on in the world. But I'll also keep an eye on it that we get a gap to fill right here in the under 540. So I'd also watch for puts under 543, to 540 to 535. And you get this 525 area. It's a pretty big area right here. Well, in 530. So I could pull back to 530. Who knows? But I'm expecting more shenanigans we've been seeing. SPYs pull back a little bit, enough to cool off the RSIs a little bit. And I wouldn't be surprised if we pushed 550, 560 on this week. So definitely keep an eye on that. Amazon looks like it wants to pop here. I mean, you got 1, 2, 3. This is the fourth time it's gotten over this 188 area. It gets over this 190 area. We could end up seeing a strong push on Amazon. I mean, you see right back here, it tapped it here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is going to be number 5. So we could end up seeing a pretty significant pop to probably 200 on Amazon. So keep an eye on Amazon. Amazon could have a nice big run. Microsoft, at the top of the Keltner channel, it's outside the Keltner channel on the daily. I mean, if SPY goes, it gets over 451, it's probably going to end up pushing to 460. But yeah, Microsoft can end up pushing too. Right now, I mean, it's got bearish divergences right here, right there, and right down here. It's kind of flat a little bit right there, so a little bit of a bearish divergence on that, but just the SPY could keep pushing. I mean, it's the RSI is only at 71, and over here it was at 80. So I mean, SPY could push Microsoft could push to 460. But I want to go back to SPY because I wanted to show one thing. SPY has got a whole weekly candle outside the Keltner channel. It doesn't like to do that, even though it did right here. I mean, God, it did for like months. But it did finally come back in, but it does not like to be outside the Keltner channel normally. I should say normally. See, it's out here 2 times and it flushed. This is just unnormal. This is unnatural right here. Unnormal. I don't even think that's even a word. This is unnatural right here. So then it came back in. So anytime I see it outside the Keltner channel on the weekly time frame, I always look that it's going to come back in. But Nvidia, look at Nvidia just went outside the Keltner channel for weeks and weeks and weeks. But Tesla is another one I'm looking at. I mean, it's stalling out in the 180s area. It's riding the 20 EMA. It gets below and it gets bought up right here. So I'd watch it over 187, or even say over 185 or push to 190. It's over 190, probably going to 200. So definitely keep an eye on Tesla. Home Depot is another one. Home Depot just looks pretty good. It looks like it wants to go more. I mean, you did go right here, but it's like had a little bit of a drop right here and it went back to this high of 356. So, you know, I think that we could end up getting a little stronger push to 360, 365, maybe even 370 on Home Depot. Home Depot's got a little ways to go. It can run a little more, but it's also got a gap down here underneath 343, so 342. So definitely keep an eye on that. But I don't usually trade Home Depot, but just for people that do, that want something to look at. It gets over Friday, whatever high. This was what? Yeah, this was Tuesday. It gets over Tuesday's high because it touched at 1 right here, and this is number 3. It could end up breaking the next time or two. So definitely keep an eye on Home Depot. Could have a nice little run. Meta, it's got a head and shoulders. You get the left, you get the head, and you get the right shoulder. So I mean, the neckline, you could say it's down here at the 450 460 area, but you know, I'd watch it underneath Friday's low, and if we'll just say 492 for the gap fill down here to 480. If it gets below 480, we could end up seeing that back down at this 465, 460 area on Meta. So keep an eye on Meta. Netflix just keeps going. It just keeps surprising me how it's just going. But then again, I mean, it's got a bearish divergence right here. RSI is making lower, histogram is making lower, as high price is making higher. All-time high is 799 or 701. We just round up. This could end up breaking out over the daily and getting to 700 before actually pulling back. But I don't know. It could if it gets to 700, we could end up seeing a strong push, because Netflix is a weird stock where it could just end up breaking all-time high and raging $20 on nothing. So Netflix, keep an eye on all-time high, but also keep an eye on getting watching it underneath 680 for push to 670, 660, and 650. Down to the 640 area. Definitely Netflix is definitely something I'd watch for both ends. Calls are more too risky, but like I said, Netflix is one of those weird stocks that it gets to all-time high. It could just squeeze through it like nothing and not reject, even though it's come a long way in a year and a half, 2 years. So BA is the last one. Boeing, I mean, it's got an inverted head and shoulders on the daily. You get the left, you get the head, you get the right shoulder. I mean, the neckline is going to be right around the 190 area, but you could watch for it over 180 for push to 190 and see what it does there. I mean, that's a pretty big run, and Boeing doesn't usually run that much. few dollars a day. Excuse me, a few dollars a day. But when it does start running, I mean, look at this. It just has a massive run. So let's see if it finds bottom and has a little bit of a bounce here, at least to the 190 area. I don't think I'd be looking at the put side. I mean, you can. I mean, if it gets underneath 171, it definitely get back down to the 160 area. But I'm only be interested in above 180 on BA. So other than that, don't really care for too much. There's not anything else I really like right now. So I'm just gonna keep it simple this week and see what happens. I don't think too much is going to end up happening over the next couple weeks, because we get the 4th of July next week, which is on the Thursday, and I don't know what happens on Friday. If we're going to have a half a day or not on Friday, I'll have to look and say something in the room. But get a full week this week and another short week next week. So who knows? Maybe this week won't have much volume. And when SPY doesn't have much volume, it just grinds. So that's going to do it for the watch list, and thanks for watching.